has a scheduling conflict, so we're gonna move right along to the third item on the agenda. The old Mendon landfill.
We have with us on the call, Jennifer. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Thanks.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for joining in so quickly. Hope you had a chance to at least take your coat off and settle in.
I did, and I put dinner in the oven. So when the meeting's over, I'll be able to go eat.
Great. So Jennifer's joining us. Jennifer is a senior project manager at Atlas. Jennifer, is that right?
Yes.
And Jennifer's company is the company that does the current landfill testing, for the gas monitoring and the groundwater. And also too, most recently, they completed the first formal inspection of the landfill. So Jennifer could fill us in on that. But I thought it'd be nice to have Jennifer kind of join us because maybe in addition to talking about some general things, I know we're looking at the lease agreement component as well. I know Joyce is not able to join us tonight, so I don't know if we want to definitively make a commitment this evening, but we can certainly talk through
Okay, so that's the access.
that was for the access agreement. Yep.
No, please, Jennifer, share with us, please.
Okay. Is there anything specific you're looking for, or just in general?
So, well, just to kind of give you an update, Jennifer and I had an opportunity to talk a little bit about the landfill. And what Jennifer was able to do for us is, I know we looked at an initial example that she had sent us of an agreement. And we kind of I went back to her and just kind of asked her if she could do something a little more specific for us. Not, not definitive, but a little more specific to our particular situation, which she has done. So we have that in front of us as an example to look at for our situation. So that would be pertaining to the agreement. And then I kind of gave Jennifer a little bit of the backstory with the landfill, going back to the beginning and how things kind of went along there. So she's got a little bit of a historical perspective on things there. One item, Jennifer, I know when you and I last communicated, I had mentioned about the representation on documentation or the possibility or the lack thereof of that property not referencing that it had actually been at one time a landfill. But since we last spoke, I did find that on the local assessor record, there is a reference to the property being a capped landfill. The verbiage, and you probably don't have a copy in front of you, but there's verbiage on the assessor record for that property. And they refer to it as, let's see if I can bring it up here. So on our assessor records.
I actually pulled the assessor card when I was looking at the sample. Well, the more accurate. I'm just gonna see that I just pulled it off your assessors online. I'm gonna see if I can find it on the card.
So you say you were looking to see if you could find it, or?
Well, no, I've got the assessor's card. I just pulled it up because I had pulled it a couple weeks ago when I worked on the draft access agreement for you. So I'm looking to see if I can see it on the. Oh, yes, I see it right here. Portion of the rear land is a quote unquote capped landfill. Special
Correct.
permit granted in 2000 to allow outdoor dance hall. And then, yeah.
Yes. And
But it
originally,
doesn't.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It doesn't say where the landfill was.
Right. And originally when we spoke, I had not noted that information. I was kind of gazing at another section on the assessor record. And since then as well, upon seeing that, I did have a conversation with our assessor, lead assessor Gene, about that. to determine if there's a possibility of changing it. Because the verbiage, as Jennifer just read, says portion of rear land is a cap landfill. The fact of the matter is that majority of that land is a cap landfill. It's not just the rear portion. There's elements in the front part as well. So I talked to Gene about, we're going to bring it up for discussion and maybe see about changing the verbiage of that and what might be involved. And she said, no, that's fine. Those are just general notes we make. She said, if you're looking to make a change of something more accurate, that accurately represents the property, just let me know and she'll change them. There's no formal process for that. I said, okay, great. So what caught my eye was that it only referenced where it said portion of rear land as a cap landfill, which I think is a little bit inaccurate for what actually exists there. So,
I'm glad to see that something's on there.
yes.
So that if somebody were to go looking, at least it would spark some questions.
Mhm.
Well, reading through all the information that was, that Jack provided us, Jennifer, and conversations we've had in the past, amongst, the board members, I probably have two questions.
Sure.
And Jennifer, by the way, my name is Alan.
Okay.
The first question I would have, when we were going through, discussions about the access agreement is whether or not the access agreement, if the property owner checked the box no, what happens to the access agreement?
Okay,
Right,
well,
right.
in this case, so a lot of times when we do an access agreement, we're looking to delineate certain boundaries. In this case, the person's property is the actual landfill and you're mandated by Mass DEP to do the regulatory monitoring. Typically under the MCP work, this is solid waste work, not MCP work, but during MCP work, we make 3 attempts by certified mail to gain access and then we get DEP involved. I would think it would be similar with the solid waste, especially where we're mandated by DEP to monitor this because their property is the landfill. But I know when I was speaking with Tom, he said they're trying to sell the property at the moment.
That's very possible. I don't have any concrete evidence of that, but, I have heard in discussions that there was possibly an agreement.
I did actually take a ride by because when it had been mentioned, I was curious if it was actually advertised as being for sale. It wasn't. This is just as of last week. So if there's any conversation about selling the property at the moment, it's happening behind the scenes. There's no public for sale sign of the property, but there have been conversations.
Well, it's good that it's listed, even though it's inaccurate, at least listed on the assessor's card. The question will be, and I haven't dug into that part of it yet, is it on the registry of deeds? Because and I was having this conversation with Tom, whoever purchases the property, if they're looking to build commercial, etc., if they've got to dig in to put any kind of foundation, etc., if they find solid waste, they're going to have to manage it. Or they may need to put a vapor barrier, etc. You know what I mean? Depending upon their proposed use of the property.
Okay, so if the homeowner, we go through with this access agreement, the property owner checks box no, what happens to the access agreement?
We
know
would
you
have
say-
to have a conversation with Jim McWade to find out if, is one attempt enough for them to step in, or will they need three attempts like we have to do in the MCP side?
Okay, so it's not dead in the water. It's not money spent that isn't going to get us where we need to go. It's just that the process is going to take a little longer.
Correct.
Okay, because that was our concern is we didn't want to be just spinning our wheels and not get anywhere. Taking a little longer or a few more steps, I guess we're kind of used to that. My second question would be, reading through this information that Jack provided us for tonight's meeting is based on the third-party inspection that was completed. Who is supposed to do that repair work?
That I'm not sure. I think, normally we, would ask the, the people that we work for. Your situation is completely different. Normally if we see something that's town property and owned by the property, the town takes care of it. But where this is a situation where it's someone else, I think that's between you and the homeowner to decide who would be responsible. I did put some photos into a photo log that I can share my screen and show you. And I also brought up my notes from John Nijelski's inspection. Now he's a licensed landfill third-party inspector in my office.
And what is the time frame on getting this work completed?
You do have time to get it in. It's nothing that has to be done right away. The biggest concern to me is there is a pretty good size like sinkhole depression by one of the drainage basins. And that to me would be a security concern. So I would want that to be addressed first. If you want, I can kind of skim through his notes real quick and give you the highlights, and then I can share some photos.
Please.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
The other thing is that when we file as part of one of the forms that we have to fill out for the third-party inspection form, we need to reference like the closure permit. Now, I don't have anything in our files. I know we just recently took this on from our other office, but I looked through, I do have access to their server, and I looked and I can't find anything. I know that, from speaking with Tom, it's kind of one of those things that there wasn't a lot of documentation, but obviously this is in DEP's crosshairs because they wanted to, they're asking you to do the third-party inspection, et cetera, and asking you to be more involved. So there should be some kind of closure permit somewhere.
Yeah, there was we'll call it a treasure trove of documentation that the board had uncovered a couple of months back regarding the landfill. But one document that does not seem to be included in that is an actual closing or closure agreement. I did make a call to Jim McQuaid at Mass DEP. He's the gentleman that I've been dealing with off and on over the past few years. He is out until the end of the month. And I did speak with Greg Root, an assistant, but Greg felt that Jim would be the person to talk to about this issue. And he asked, if we could wait until he returns. I said, that'd be fine. So I'll have to pick it up with him. Yeah, at the end of November, Jen.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll sit tight with what we have, but we can't do our third-party inspection until we get that.
Okay.
So looking at John's notes, he said the driveway was in good condition, no gates, a security fence. Vegetation is lush and mowed to appropriate length, no signs of trespassing, recreational use, erosion on the, this is on the field itself, animal burrowing or stress vegetation, so that's good. The biggest concern is that there's a catch basin near the driveway turnaround just south of the house near a utility pole, and there's a huge sinkhole. And then there's another depression just south of that, about 50 west of the potable well. And there was some depressions noted about 6 to 12 inches in diameter or so by the other structure. But the biggest thing is I'm gonna share my screen. And wait a second, I have to pull up the photo log before I share my screen. Okay. All right, can you see the photos now?
Yes.
Okay, so this one isn't too bad. This is out looking over the field and a few of the monitoring wells. Okay, so this is the large kind of drainage structure. You can see the corner of the driveway. And this shows, can you see this sinkhole type depression right here?
Yes, yep.
So I don't know if it's because of all the rain we had that it's being undermined or not. And then here's a close-up of that. I didn't end up picking any of the other photos of the other depressions. I wanted to put some stuff in a photo log because it's a lot easier. It gives a little bit of a description for, instead of just sending you over pictures. But my biggest concern is this sinkhole by the catch basin because it's pretty big.
Where is that catch basin located?
It's by off the driveway by the main structure.
If you hold that picture for a sec, come down a little bit. Oh, right there you go. That's the drive in the back, Colleen.
So like in conjunction with the groundwater monitoring wells? Put me in the ballpark of where that would be? Near which well?
You give me a second, I'll pull up the site plan.
It almost feels as though we're looking towards the house
Mhm.
and that's on the right side. And it looks like there's a telephone pole with a guide wire next to it.
I was just trying to figure out, because you know what our dilemma is with regards to the court judgment, so they broke
Right.
it up. And so the town's responsibility was parcels A, B, and C, and the property owner's responsibility was parcels D and E. So just in conjunction to where this catch basin is it on parcel A, B, and C? Because if it is, then it's the town's responsibility. If it's not, then it's the property owner's responsibility. So that's why I was kind of asking.
Yeah, unfortunately, let's see what she.
I don't know for sure, but based on where the house is in that turnaround type,
Yep.
I'm almost thinking it.
Right where the
I'm-
cursor is there, Jennifer, where your cursor is?
That's what I'm kind of thinking because you can see the house
That would be.
and then the driveway turnaround. I'm thinking that this is behind the telephone pole. So I'm thinking
Yep.
it might be somewhere in this vicinity. Now, I wasn't out there, so I don't know for sure, but that's my best educated guess.
So we have a little bit of a dilemma in that we don't have the post-closure agreement. We've looked for it. And as a matter of fact, Jack has made a request to DEP and they can't find it either. But what we did find was the judgment from the court. And the court judgment stated that the town was responsible for parcels. They broke out the property into parcels A, B, and C. And the property owner was responsible for the parcel D and E. Unfortunately, there's no deed or any types of meets or bounds to help us figure out where these parcels lie on the property itself.
Now, I'm just thinking out loud here, but on the for a safety's sake, I wonder in short-term measure, maybe the DPW could just throw some snow fence around that or something, just so a kid doesn't wander by and fall in the hole.
Yeah, I would say that if we contacted the property owner.
Yep, first.
And then we let John, highway surveyor, go down there and look at it first, so he knows what he's getting into.
Mhm.
I'm sure he's got some material
Okay,
at the highway barn that he could fill it in.
we can do that.
And where it's so close to the driveway, it's probably something that they can almost offload right from the truck into the hole and camp it down and throw some grass seed on top of it, and it should be good at least till spring.
Was there an idea, Jennifer? Did John have an idea on the actual depth of that opening?
I'm gonna look at his email real quick.
On the property, I didn't go up that close to the house,
Mhm.
so I didn't even know there was a catch basin there, but I vaguely remember that pole. Because I
He
think
didn't, let's see.
from that pole, that's where the house gets its power.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense, right?
He didn't say, but he did note that there's another one about 50 feet west of the potable well. I don't have a photo of that one.
Right. And he references one on the west side of the driveway and in the smaller unit. Depressions were noted in approximately the center, 6 to 12 in over 10 to 20 foot diameter.
Yes. But I don't think,
So that must be on the left of that diagram.
Mm-hmm.
And for some crazy reason, I don't know if it's from things that I've been reading or from things that I've been hearing in discussions. I believe, and again, I'm not exactly sure why, that the right side of the driveway was the area the town was using.
Absolutely,
Right.
I agree
Left
with you.
side of the driveway
Yep.
was where all the stuff from Boston was coming.
Yep, I agree.
So
And actually based on
Right, we matched that up too.
this this aerial photo, this is back when the court was done.
That
back
was
in the
part of the judgment.
case.
okay,
Basically, to give you an idea, it appears what determined to be a responsibility for the town areas A, B, and C. This area here, A and B, and actually a segment that's over here, the other side. Now, I don't know if that was ever actually utilized, or maybe it was prepped.
well, reading through this paperwork, it sounds as though that had been used as a landfill for quite a period of time. Even before maybe the town,
Yeah, he used to burn is what I saw in the
Right,
paperwork.
right.
Yep, yep.
which that's a practice that I don't even remember as a child going to the local landfill, seeing the trash burning. So that was before my time.
Mm.
These areas back here, D and E sections that have assigned responsibilities of property.
Okay, so if we use that information and determine and interpret it rather that way, then I would say that if we were able to work with John from Highway and get the sinkhole that's close to the portable well and the sinkhole that's close to the catch basin, we could feel fairly confident that we're covering our obligations.
Mhm.
But still, to have a conversation with either the occupant or the property owner first to let them know what we'd like to do.
Yep.
And then at the same time, we can let them know that on the other side, here's the report. This is some things that you need to take care of.
Mhm.
And then just see, what the reaction is.
Yep.
But from a safety standpoint, obviously, what's going on the right side of that driveway is more urgent.
Jennifer, John didn't happen to indicate if he had any engagement or happen to see any individuals when he was doing the inspection.
no, he didn't see anybody or speak with anybody. And when Mark did the quarterly landfill gas sampling, he met one of you guys out there, but other than that, he didn't see or speak with anybody. And I have to say, I'm amiss. I haven't gotten the phone number from Adrian yet, but I know she used to call and leave a message and no one would ever call her back. And so I do have to get a phone number from her. So during the December event, I do want to reach out and just leave a message and let them know, hey, we're going to be out there.
Yeah, typically in the past, what the procedure had been was they would simply make a call and they would end up usually leaving a message and they would say, this is so-and-so from Atlas. We're going to be coming out on such and such a date to do the testing. If you have any concerns, let us know. And more often than not, they wouldn't hear, so they would just go out and do what they needed to do. There might have been a couple of occasions where they might have got a call back, just asking them if they could change the date. They might have had something going on, you know, at the property being a dance studio and
Right.
events and stuff to reschedule, but more often than not, I don't think they had any actual communication with anybody personally on the phone. They just go and do their thing.
There, in looking at the photos, there was a car in the driveway, but no one ever came out and said anything to John.
Yeah, the day that I was there was pretty quiet. I think a small Toyota pickup truck or something might have come in but they didn't even speak to us.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have any questions?
Just part of in the documents that they provided, it also indicated in here and reading through it that the DEP does require the town to only install 3 monitoring wells. There's 5 there,
Right.
so the other 2 may be on parcel D and E and may be the property owner's responsibility, not the town's. Right now, we are, from what I understand, right, Jack, we're paying for all 5 of them.
Right.
Yeah, for all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed on the map, there's one well that was destroyed.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, then they replaced it with, I think it was M2A or something like that.
Okay.
It's in this report.
I was trying to follow along. There's a
Yep.
lot of stuff there. And it almost sounds as though reading through that information that things were relatively quiet until like 2007. And then 2007 to 2011 seems to be a lot of the information that we have. Now, I don't know if that had something to do with the sale of the property out front and the new homeowner becoming aware that they were,
Sitting on a dump.
yeah. I don't know. So with the information, it appears as though once that court litigation was taken care of, and the town was no longer using the facility, obviously, that it was real quiet.
Mhm.
So whether or not anything was going on there or someone was paying the bill to have anything tested, huge gap of time.
Mhm.
So something spurred this up again and put it on everybody's
I
radar.
think the DEP itself, from what I understand anyway, just because I'm familiar with Mr. McQuaid and Mr. Root, I've worked with them closely for years on other landfills, and that was a priority of theirs, was the capped landfills, and they were just, going through all of the landfills in the Commonwealth, and so we have them, so here we are.
Right.
I might have to plead guilty to spurring it on because
Well,
it was back in 2018 when when we were talking about this topic, used to come up every now and then,
Right.
not so regular. I ended up coming across a document and I wish I knew where that was, but it indicated a 30-year testing plan
right.
and 30 years had already gone by.
Mhm.
And so at that point, my discussion with Missy at the time was, geez, I wonder if we still have to do testing here because we've gone over 30 years. So at that point, that prompted the phone call, the first call to DEP, connecting with Jim. And that's kind of how it all started, having that conversation and then finding out through that Jim said, hey, by the way, there's a new requirement that we have with regard to inspecting the landfills, which up until that point, we were never aware of. So I think that came along sometime in 2014 or so. And as I understand it, and Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, every 2 years, Mass DEP requires a formal inspection report submitted to them.
Yes,
we as a-
they actually require an inspection once a year but they only require reporting every 2 years.
Okay,
So for some of my other municipal clients, what we'll do is we'll just put a little summary in the most, like, so say we went in October now and we reported. So in 2 years, if we go in October again, we'll put the write up in the December quarterly report. But we won't need to file the TPI permit form and everything else. No, we don't put the photos and all of that stuff together. We just do the inspection and, note if everything was good or if there were any deficiencies and that they've been fixed.
okay, so,
Well, it's not a bad thing that it's on our radar.
no.
It's just unfortunate that if it was quiet for a long time, you kind of lose touch.
Oh, yeah.
And
You have to go back and
so-
revisit it.
Some of the key players might not be available to ask questions
Mhm.
from anymore.
And the other part of it too was, with the testing results that we were seeing and some of the reporting, it seemed to be that, we were getting a lot of positive results back, on some of the testing. And so the concept was introduced to Jim about the possibility of being able to, reduce or possibly eliminate some of the testing, looking at it as a way to maybe save some expenses.
Right, because
So
isn't that 30,000 a year?
Not 20,000.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the other impetus in the conversation to see if we could, maybe save some money or do away with some of the testing. So, and that's part of what Jennifer's group is doing with DEP, I believe. You folks, Jenny, you have an application in for that, right? I believe.
We haven't done it yet. We're contracted to do it. As you know, it took a bit of going back and forth with the client service agreement. So I wanted to work on the TPI first and take care of that because that was, I knew that one hadn't been done previously and DEP was asking for it. So I wanted to have that be one of the priorities besides keeping you in compliance with your quarterly monitoring. But we are going to start looking into that. At this point, I want to say probably December because I'm going on vacation for a week and a half in November. But in December, our intent is to start looking at the trends and work on a permit modification for you to see what makes sense. When I was looking at the documents, I want to say it was after we spoke or right around when we spoke about 2 weeks ago. I did find in our files, or I should say the Woburn office files, that previously it might have been 2017, 2018. I'm pulling the date out of the air, but we had formally requested a reduction and it was denied. So we're still at the same place, but hopefully with several more years of good data, favorable data, we can work with Jim and try to get something reduced, even if we can reduce the air to quarterly, But we'll definitely let you know what makes sense to us and see if, it will be palatable to Jim to reduce it.
Okay.
Can't think of anything else at this time. I think the only other question I have is, in your years of doing this, have you come across a situation where, that is similar to ours? It's my understanding that the town was paying the property owner to be able to dump there, but yet we didn't own the property, but yet we're on the hook to pay for all this testing. Have you come
Because-
across a similar situation?
Not that I'm aware of. I'd have to look, but nothing that I know of for sure.
Because it seems odd to us. And unfortunately Joyce isn't here. She has probably the most firsthand knowledge of this situation and was involved. That if the property owner was in the business of owning and maintaining a landfill, that it would be their responsibility solely. So if you ever come across a similar situation, please share.
Well, I think what happened is the courts actually ruled responsibility when it went to court.
Yes,
Okay.
So the
Did
court,
they?
judgment. Oh, yeah.
That's how it was written?
there was a legal judgment by
Right.
the courts that
A, B,
designated.
and C was the town and D and E was the property owner.
Okay, but yet,
Regardless if we were paying Ferrucci the money to use the landfill,
Right.
the court still decided, well,
Yep.
regardless if you paid him or not, you're still responsible.
okay,
Yeah, we found that. We have that. That's where that aerial photo came from. It's all part of that.
Because Mendon did try to say, it's not our land.
Right.
Right.
It wasn't like, you used it, it's yours.
okay. So the only thing that we don't know is why we're still paying for the other side.
Mhm.
I suspect when,
If we could ever even get the property owner to take that over.
Well, that's, I think, would be something for council to advise us. I mean, what's done is done, just
Right.
moving forward. You know, I think that, that would be something that the board should consider sending to council for their opinion on.
and I'm suspecting what might have simply happened where the two wells, it looks like there was an ad after the first three, that if we were already, those three were the ones that were on the town portion of land. If billing had already started for work or testing, when the other two came along, it might have just been a case where they were just lumped in
Absorb,
and it
right?
just added to the bill and we just kept paying it.
Right.
It would be most helpful if we could, in fact, if there is a post-closure agreement and that defines the parcels. If not, then in order to, explore it further with regards to what's the town's responsibility, what's the property owner's responsibility, would probably be looking at some sort of a survey to define the
And
parcel.
that's the information that seems to be, no one seems to have.
Yeah, I mean, we went through, Jack and I
Yeah, hey.
scrubbed the box and even we went through the Worcester Registry of Deeds, read all the deeds. There's no reference on any of those deeds, Jennifer, just so that you know, I didn't see it of any reference on any of those deeds that it was ever, that property was ever used as a landfill.
Interesting.
Now, yeah, because that may be it. I'm just thinking if it sells, that's something you definitely would want attached to a deed.
Absolutely, I agree with you, but I didn't see anything. I didn't see any references, or, like if there was any type of, a permanent, a paragraph saying, hey, warning, this property was used as a landfill. There was nothing like that.
Right. And if
Okay.
it gets purchased for residential, or a cash purchase, then they won't need what's called a 21E, which is an environmental site assessment that would, when we do environmental site assessments, we review, Board of Health records, Conservation Commission records, Fire Department records, and, DEP records and things like that to get the environmental history so that way the banks know what kind of environmental liability they're getting. But if it's a residential sale or a cash sale, it wouldn't get picked up.
And the other thing that was curious was that we didn't even see when we went through the various names, of the property owners, but never saw that the post-closure agreement was even recorded. There was nothing there. And like I said, there was no deed restriction on any of the deeds. But what fascinated us even more was that post-closure agreement was never recorded.
You might want to get it recorded now before the property sells if they're thinking about selling it.
Yeah, well, if we can find it, that'd be wonderful. I mean, so far it's a mystery. The only thing that there is even the judgment, you usually you see those recorded. No. We have a copy of it. It's not recorded.
And as you probably know, you need an original to file with the registry. They won't take a copy.
Exactly. So you could, even if you wanted to call, but just curious, it's just curious, I mean, that there's post-closure agreement, not there. There's no deed restriction, no reference that the property was ever used as a landfill before. Fascinating stuff.
Just missing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I mean, one thing, not on the landfill side, solid waste side, but on the, like, the DEP side, I know that I've had some municipal clients that have taken over properties for tax taking. And then when they wanted to develop them for resale, then, they took on the environmental liability, but it's different than your situation, but that's because they took it and then they were now the owner of the property.
Exactly, exactly.
All right, so. Any more questions for Jennifer? We'll discuss this more with Joyce present.
Yeah.
at our
And
next
then
meeting.
Mr. McQuaid, when he comes back at the
Okay.
end of the month.
Yeah.
Jack and I will take care of the catch basin.
Yeah, like I said, I'd let John take a look at it first.
Yep.
So he knows what he's getting into
I'll get a
and then
number.
see if he's agreeable to plug in the holes.
Yep.
Like I said, I'm sure they've got some material down the highway barn that would be suitable.
Mhm.
The ground's not too swampy right now. So maybe in the
Yep.
next week. All right, Jennifer, thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you,
You're
Jennifer.
welcome. And then,
Thank you.
once you can get the closure document from Jim, if you want to forward it along, and then we can finalize the TPI report and get that submitted.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Same
Thank
to
you
you.
too,
Thank
Jennifer.
you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Lots of good information.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, it just
I've
fascinates
heard
me.
of things disappearing. I know someone who bought a property on the water in Rhode Island. And the previous owner must have got in trouble for creating his own beach.
Oh.
And when the deed changed hands, that disappeared.
Mhm.
So conservation or someone had some sort of a lien on that property on the deed because it was illegally built, so to speak. And
Yep.
somewhere
Ghost.
along the line, it disappeared.
Yeah.
So
Jason, what do you think?
I mean, I'm not surprised that it's difficult to find, this information. This is kind of part of being a more modern town, is just doing what you guys are doing, like just recording that this is happening. I do think you should definitely go record that back with the assessor if it's just a simple memo as early as possible, because that just sets up the breadcrumbs. But yeah, I mean, you got to get the monitoring going, and you're now gonna have to monitor if that ground is changing, and hopefully the homeowners are amenable to working with us. It's a difficult situation. Like, you want to do what's best for the town, but the liability isn't all ours.
still test that well, right? For that house that's out front.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We can do is keep pedaling forward on that.
Yeah.
Next item on the agenda, municipal trash discussion.
All right, so for the municipal trash discussion, I did speak with David Demunch about getting us on the select board's agenda. He said he would talk to Mike Morales, so he can get us on for the November 15th meeting. So we're just waiting to hear on that. But I crunched some numbers from last year's fiscal year's trash accounts. If you take a look, bill for trash collection, trash disposal, and trash administration. We were budgeted for $472,000 for fiscal year 23. We actually spent $465,165.54. And so that would give us a balance of $6,834.50. And with the trash sticker revenue, we would basically have a surplus of $7,239.46. Again, this goes back, should go back, the surplus to the subscribers.
Okay, now. Fiscal year 2023 is over.
Yes, that was
May 31st.
started July 22nd and ended June 2023.
So that money is sitting in an account somewhere.
Assume it would have gone to free cash. I don't know how that municipal works already.
Well, it's,
Yeah, it goes over to free cash,
okay,
the
but-
general account.
General account.
okay, so, but it's in an account somewhere.
Well,
It
it's
should
not,
be.
it's not sitting, saying
Someone spent it.
It's been spent,
it gets
It's been
used.
spent by now, yes.
right?
Potentially gets.
So we're not getting it back. The subscribers aren't
No.
getting it back.
No, because it goes down to zero. That's, you know, with
Right.
municipal, you go to zero.
That's why
so-
I'm making sure
Mhm.
that I follow along with when the year ended. Because it gets a little confusing
Mhm.
because of fiscal year, calendar year. And then I'm trying not to get too excited.
No, don't get excited.
that The subscribers are gonna get a reduced fee.
Well, again, this is just an example, like if we were on municipal trash being one side where subscribers were only paying for subscribers only type side.
Right. Okay.
And this is only one snapshot. I mean, it's only one, one
Mhm.
example.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that from a trend perspective, we always have been pretty good from a budgetary perspective, that there always seems to be funds
Well,
that are.
that's pretty close. You know, when you're talking $472,000 to come down to that without going in the red, that's pretty good.
Mhm.
Well, and just having extra monies that, potentially could be saved if revolving account were to be approved.
Mhm.
Monies that could stay within the program and be recirculated to potentially either apply for potential savings or maybe not have to increase. I mean, we know the contract has built in a 3% increase every year,
Correct.
so. But, trash stickers are a variable, right, in terms of.
Yeah, but if you, isn't it, didn't you show us an average? Yeah, we have a box here that goes from 17 to 23. And that's 2023 is pretty close to an average for all those years.
Yeah, it varies, but you're right.
That's a pretty good,
It's an average on the plus side.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
sure.
That's only about 1%. So I would say you hit it on the button. Like that's pretty close. I don't know how you're gonna get closer than 1%.
Thank you. I think, we'll take that as a compliment, Jason.
I mean, it would allow us to reduce the following year's subscriber rate by $4 per subscriber, which anything staying the same or going backwards is welcome by anybody.
Mhm.
So it's not a huge impact, but at least it shows that the money is going back into the right
Absolutely.
pocket and not.
Mhm.
So,
And then the other piece, of course, is the trying to segment out the municipal trash expense
mhm.
from the cost as well, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Because I mean, by doing that, that could be another $4 or $5
Could be.
per subscriber.
Mhm.
So now, let's say it's, 4. Now you're putting between that and the municipal, you're putting $8 back in their pockets.
Yeah.
Which, again, in today's world, anything staying the same or going down a little bit is welcome.
No, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
But, no, very good. So hopefully we'll get on their agenda. And any information pictorial that you have like this is a great way to, show the Board of Selectmen what's not being accounted for correctly. All right, anything else? So November 15th, that's next week.
Next Wednesday.
Okay. So
The,
hopefully we'll hear back. I don't know, it's a short work week in town hall, right? They're out Thursday, they're out Friday.
Yeah, they're out tomorrow. And they're off on Friday, correct?
Yeah, so Monday would be the earliest that we might hear.
Do we want to incorporate, I know we had it listed as an old business item, but the contract itself for Yale Harvey,
I have not heard back from town council yet.
still haven't heard back. Okay.
Anything else on this agenda item?
Good.
Pauline, you're up.
So 10 Northbridge Road. I, went over there, the whole area looked dry. I, didn't lift up the lid. Steve Donatelli, was gonna do that for me today and I did not speak to him today, so I can't report to the board what the status of, of the, system itself is. We do know that, the property owner has not engaged engineering services. So Jack and I talked about it today and we're gonna send a letter to the property owner and remind him that he's not in compliance with the original letter. And we were going to suggest that he appear before the next board meeting to discuss it with the board. If you guys are in agreement to that, we didn't want to send a letter without discussing it with the board first.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that.
Because I honestly, I don't know like what else we can do. I had a couple of conversations with him. I sent him an email, a text message, and he assured me that that was what he was going to do. So short of, another text message, which I'm willing to do, but I just think that at this point in time, a more formal letter, with a request to appear before the board may be in order.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that.
40 North Ave, I go by it all the time. It's not, there's nothing on the surface. And Stevie Donatelli too, between the two of us. They are not packing the trucks there. They've been gone. I'm not saying they're not gonna come back, but for right now, they're gone. And I know that I have not spoken with him, the property owner, but he, and I will follow up with him, but he assured me that he was going to be securing engineering services as well. We continue to monitor them, go by it all the time, Northbridge Road too, I mean, all the time.
Yeah, I saw a much larger distance between parked vehicles on North Ave.
Mhm.
And I didn't see anything alarming when I drove by.
No, I've been, been there, and Stevie too, between the two of us, him and I, we're monitoring the property.
Rough weather's coming,
Oh, yeah.
so, hopefully everything is either gonna hang on while they get their ducks in line so that they're ready to go before the spring rains, or I don't know.
Well, both systems need to be repaired, replaced. And both property owners are aware of that,
And-
well aware of that.
Gibson's pumping both of them
Yeah.
as needed.
Well, he didn't pump Northbridge Road because it really didn't need it, but
Right.
he did pump North Avenue. And the next pump due date is November 12th.
Okay. Yeah,
So
that's why
that
I
will
said
be,
as needed.
yep,
Because I know that where where they were being monitored, he was trying to gauge the frequency
Right.
that was necessary. And
I'm
North Ave
curious.
is more frequent than Northbridge Road.
Absolutely. Well, since that, John cleaned out the lines on Northbridge Road, I don't want to jinx them, but really truly the system is, has been, it helped that we don't see anything on the surface. We're not seeing what we saw before, surface, other matter, common to bathroom use on the surface as well. And the same thing with North Ave. But North Ave's system is much smaller than Northbridge Roads.
I'm sure.
Yeah, all North Ave's is,
Yep.
cinder blocks. That's all it is really.
Yeah, there's,
Is there an overall time frame for each of these that the owners are aware of?
Well, they have 2 years from the time that the system is identified as having failed. They have 2 years to bring it into compliance. They don't take 2 years because usually when the system fails, it requires frequent pumping, which is very expensive.
Sure.
So they're probably less expensive just to engage the engineering services, move forward with the septic plan and approval and the installation.
Yep.
We have not had any new, knock on wood, cases of bed bugs at Sunrise Apartments. It seems to me that the Milford Housing is on top of it and they're with their monitoring and their pest control schedule. And I haven't heard any of any new cases or
So
any
they
new
actively in
concerns.
there on a regular interval doing their pest
Yep.
control?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Until it's eradicated, if that's possible.
Yeah.
Um, I reached out to Jody with regards to, we're gonna schedule the youth compliance checks for the tobacco. Probably, I told her I'd like to do it and have it completed before Christmas. That's my goal, our goal. Jody's on board with it too, especially like now because it's the holiday season and there's a lot of activity. So I'll keep the board up to date. I was hoping, as a matter of fact, let me just double check. Yeah, she did respond back to me. I'll go back to it. We did the emergency preparedness presentation at the senior center. It was a great success, right, Jack? And Dan did a fantastic job. The seniors loved it. We passed out the bags. We had the emergency prepared bags. We had a can of soup in it, water, little first aid kits, crackers, flashlights. It was it was very well received. Amy, and, her staff were very happy with the presentation. We paired it with the fire department, so both departments together, presented, to the seniors and it was, much appreciated.
Any idea how many seniors might have been there?
18.
18?
Yep. Yep.
Very good.
We spoke with the police chief with regards to the Narcan box and he's agreed to have it installed in the lobby of the police station. So we ordered a box and the chief's gonna put it up and we're gonna put the Narcan kits in it. And when we do that, then we'll make a joint announcement with the Board of Health and the police department. Let them know that, let the residents know that there's Narcan kits available if they ever need them. So we're pleased with that campaign, very pleased with it.
Do you have a particular avenue from the announcement perspective, what you'll do to get that out?
Oh, we can do the reverse
You gonna
call.
do the Reverse call?
We can put it up, we can put it up on,
Put up website.
yeah, the Board of Health
main
website, at the
Yeah.
library.
What about that newspaper?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I forgot about that newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
I
put it
think
in
that
there.
That's starting to come alive now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information. I'll tell you, Amy does a really good job. Getting
they're-
that out.
They're finding their groove.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll do it there too.
Now,
Even the town one, there's a Upton Mendon paper in addition to the senior.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so even in the town paper
Okay.
would be a good, put a little.
Who's the head of the town paper?
I don't know who the head of it is.
Yeah, it's a new group. Originally the town crier.
oh, that's what I was talking about. Was it called the Free Press?
Yeah, the Free
Men-
Press,
Mendon
that's what it
Upton?
is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
She, I think
Because
she
they-
thought you'd talk about the senior newsletter.
Oh, okay. 'Cause
No,
they
both
really-
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This group is really getting it going now.
Yeah.
It took, the first few issues were a little weak.
Yeah.
Because they were, people didn't know they existed when they first started. So now that everybody's catching on,
Okay. I'll
it's
look
getting
into it.
real close to what we were accustomed to.
Yep.
And you get a little more familiar with the format every time you
Yeah,
open it
yeah.
up. Because the format's a little different, but they're really, they're getting right up to speed.
I'll reach out to
Sure.
them. Thank you for
Yeah.
the
Get you a
idea.
copy of the paper and inside has a list of the people the editor,
Yeah, usually,
Yep.
all the individuals.
yeah, I just read it before the meeting.
Sure.
Where is the kiosk gonna be?
In the lobby of the police station.
Police station, okay.
Yeah, we're excited. I'm excited.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said before, if there's, a family that ever needed
Just
us
one.
right, suspected, right, exactly. We received a complaint, with regards to, the business operated at 82 Cape Road.
Copart.
Yep, the residents advised us that there is a significant amount of debris, probably from, moving vehicles, that is encompassing his property at times. So I called up the manager, Steve Gesner.
Yes, there, yeah.
Yep, and I'm gonna be meeting with him tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. And I'll report to the board. After that, also, the Bellingham Board of Health also notified us. We responded back to them, let them know that we were gonna be meeting tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and we invited them to attend as well.
Oh, cool. Be nice if a joint meeting.
Right.
could happen.
I did speak with the manager and he advised me that the Lowell's Restaurant across the street, because I asked him if he ever received any other types of complaints from anybody. And he did advise me that Lowell's had complained about the end of that driveway and he had a mitigation plan in place. I said, wonderful. So
I
tomorrow,
vaguely remember that.
yeah, tomorrow when I meet with him, whatever mitigation plan he has for that area, we're gonna apply it to the back.
Now,
area.
and specifically, what was it to mitigate? Just what's being
Dust.
complained
The
about?
The
dust,
dust.
Oh, okay.
yeah, he said.
It's all dirt back there. If you look.
Yeah,
what's happening,
sometimes it's just a matter of.
There's nothing cemented
They
in
have
the
a water
back.
truck.
Looks like a
Pure.
sand.
Yeah,
Exactly,
Sand.
exactly. And the gentleman that I spoke with, the manager, he was very, very receptive. He said he wished that the property, the abutter had Sean, not Steve, it was bothering me. His name was Sean.
Yep.
Because he said he wished that the abutter had notified him. So when we responded back to the Board of Health, and the chairman of the Board of Health also reached out to us. We also included the property owner and let the property owner know of the meeting that was going to take place. We did ask the property owner if he had any video or anything that we could see, better understand what was happening to his property, but we haven't heard anything back yet. So we're going to go there tomorrow at 9 o'clock and meet with Sean, take a look at it, and I'll report back to the board. I'm sure that we can come to a satisfactory conclusion.
Very good.
Awesome.
Yeah, like I said, I vaguely remember hearing complaints from the restaurant. And I can't remember how far back it was, but it was a ways back. And the only thing that I can think of from traveling in and out of gravel pits is
Oh, yeah.
they always take an old tanker that leaks
Mm-hmm.
and they fill it with pond water. And they, have their little plumbing hookup
Yep.
and they keep it wet.
Yep.
And some years you gotta do it more than other years, depending upon how, Mother Nature is to us.
Exactly.
Because, it gets hard for them, to operate. All that dust gets in the air cleaners of all their equipment. So, they're trying to protect their equipment and protect the neighbors.
I had a really positive conversation with the general manager, Sean, and I'm very, I'm sure that we'll have a positive outcome.
Good. Anything else?
No, that's it
Awesome.
for now.
On to outstanding old business.
All right, so rooster regulations, a couple of months ago, we were talking about proposing a new change of the purpose. We wanted AgCom's input. I wasn't getting anywhere, so I spoke with Tom. Tom was able to reach.
I reached out to, just before the meeting, Peter Hawks. And he tells me apparently they've had a few folks that are now no longer actively involved in AgCom. He referenced himself and Peter Denton.
Oh, both of them.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
just as being the only two active,
Oh, the only two left.
only two active.
Okay,
Because the woman, I guess, that we thought had taken Ellen's place, I guess, her personal situation has now kind of forced her to step back from taking that role on to leave the group, so they're looking for some folks.
yeah, I know one of the members moved. She lived on Washington Street.
That's right, Jane.
Yeah, so she sold her
Right.
property.
Yep.
So I'm sure she's not involved anymore.
Right.
She's trying to relocate to Vermont, so she's probably pretty busy doing that. So did Peter have any comments? or
I did forward him the information just tonight, so he hasn't
Okay,
had time to review.
That's
it.
fine.
So by next board of health meeting, I'm sure we'll have something in
Okay.
place.
Yeah, we told them what we're essentially looking to do, is basically looking to, because they're kind of gonna be our, should this situation occur again, if we ever have to use these regulations. We'll be working hand in hand with AgCom, and they're actually gonna be our frontline interface with the potential situation, right?
Correct.
And essentially, all we're looking to do is change what had originally been worded as the purpose. That it was felt that maybe that wording wasn't actually specific to why the regulations were created in the first place. So Jack had emailed him the original and then also emailed the rephrasing. So he's going to reach out to Peter, and between the two of them, they'll review it. And they'll get back to us if they have any issues or concerns, or if they're fine, they'll give us a thumbs up. And
Right.
Just so you know, Jody did get back to me, and so she's coming to Mendon next Tuesday. Her and I just need to go out and visit two retailers that we just need to do a little bit of follow-up with. And then we are going to start the youth compliance checks.
Did you find DB Mark?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And what kind of a response?
So I just got the card back from the certified letter and they have 30 days to send in
Okay.
the check.
Yep.
Fine.
All right, next up on old business review, EL Harvey contract, as we know, town council has it. I've not heard back from her as of yet. Tobacco regulations review by town council. Again, she has it in hand, have not reviewed, have heard not back from her yet as of yet. Tight tanks pumping agreements. From our last Board of Health meeting, I did go through some of the properties that was around Lake Nipmunk, and I have not found any tight tank agreements in the property folders. So what I decided to do was ask Gene from the assessor's office, give me all properties in the town of Mendon. And I'm gonna create one master huge file of all properties in Mendon. And I'm gonna go through all the property folders again, starting with Lake Nipmunk, and work my way around Mendon. And find out what type of system they have, if there's a as-built file on play, when the last Title V was done, so that progress.
Digging right in.
I'm digging right in.
that should be done by Friday.
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to figure out what gave me the impression that that was part of having a tight tank.
It's part of Title V.
Oh, so it is.
Yeah, I can
So I'm not dreaming.
No, that's part of Title V.
Mhm.
It's just another one of those things that kind of slips through the cracks because you can't watch everything all the time. Okay, so I'm not making it up.
Nope,
All right, that's good.
you're not losing your mind yet.
Next on the old topics is Title V BOH regs for Mendon. As you know, I have sent a letter out to 43 Blackstone Street requesting a Title V inspection report from them. I did receive that back, certified receipt back on October 16th. And they have not supplied anything. I gave them 10 days to respond from receiving the certified letter.
Have we gone 10 days?
We've gone past 10 days.
Okay.
And so what I was thinking of, I included in your packet is this Title V enforcement order.
Right?
Just basically stating what the infraction is, saying that purchase of 43 Blackstone Street property on February 12th, 2021. A certified letter received on October 16th, 2023, requesting a copy of the Title V inspection report of the property within 10 days of receipt of the letter. As of November 1st, 2023, a completed Title V inspection report has not been received by the Mendon Board of Health office. The determination from the Mendon Board of Health is Chapter 15-301 of the inspection at time of transfer specifies that a system shall be inspected at or within 2 years prior to the time of transfer of title to the facility served in the system. An inspection conducted up to 3 years before the time of transfer may be used if the inspection report is accompanied by system pumping records demonstrating that the system has been pumped at least once a year during that time. If weather conditions preclude inspection of the time of transfer, the inspection may be completed as soon as weather permits, but no later than 6 months after the transfer. In either case, 2 years prior or 6 months after the sale of the property, a Title V inspection report was not sent to the Board of Health. I would like to send an enforcement order stating, contact a Massachusetts certified Title V inspector to complete the required Title V official inspection report for the property at 43 Blackstone Street. And the inspection must occur within 30 days of the receipt of the enforcement issuance. So I'm just looking for the board's thoughts on that. Before,
Absolutely.
What's the, what are the next steps that are in play behind this enforcement order?
I think if they don't respond, then you'd have to send it to council and have council send a letter. I think every opportunity to give them to comply, and this is a great opportunity for them to comply. And if they don't, then, you know, the next step would be, if the board would be to go to litigation.
Well, we do know where he lives.
yes,
We do have his cell phone number.
Yep.
Is it inappropriate to dial him up?
I think you should send them first. Don't you?
I mean, I'm all for that, but like, as Tom's pointing out, what comes after and after and after?
Well, then you could call them. I mean, you could, you know,
Yeah, I
I mean, but hopefully this would cause the property owner to reach out. If not, and if the board wanted to, you know, reach out to the property owner. I mean, that's,
Okay, so if you're asking, do we need to vote to send that out, or you just want our permission?
I'm just looking at your permission to,
I'm all for it.
Well, what's been, so what so far has been to date, like the path of communications that have taken place with this particular?
letters and certified letters. I have not had
Multiple.
any phone conversations because they have not contacted the Board of Health.
So we've had multiple letters have already have gone out,
Yes,
and as far as we know, they've been received. Right, and in the course of those letters, what have we been asking them?
for a copy of the Title V, unless they meet a certain requirements of the Title V, which is like transfer between siblings, family members.
Yep.
If it's in the trust, and just to let us know why we don't have a Title V, otherwise send us a copy.
So essentially just no response,
No response.
and this is over the period of,
Started in January.
okay. Yeah, I'm all for the enforcement. of it. Okay,
Usually do first class mail on the first letter when I first started, because like when I get the property transfers from Gene every month, I go through the properties to check my folders to see if I do have a Title V. If not, that's when I initialize the first letter. Couple of months, if I don't get anything, I'll send a second letter, first class mail. If I don't get anything, then a third letter is the certified
mhm.
letter saying, hey, we've been asking
Mhm.
for a Title V inspection. We have no response.
In the meantime, we're receiving complaints about trash sitting out in front of the address.
Correct. I had a resident come in yesterday specifically about 43 Blackstone Street.
okay.
Trash piling up and liquor bottles all over the yard
Right, and we had
vehicles just parked there.
a complaint, right, unregistered vehicles, like that someone's buying at the auction.
Which one is 43?
It's that little trailer
So if you're heading
That's
down from my street,
on the right-hand side,
Blackstone,
the very small piece of property
is that before you get around the S
Yes.
curve?
on the right-hand side.
On the right-hand side.
And
The
the
same
property
property,
owner
we had an
act-
issue with a dumpster there too a while back.
No, the property before that is like a garage.
Yeah.
And we had a complaint because someone had gone there and stripped the roof
Right,
onto a top.
Yeah.
And the building is almost on the street,
yes,
and then
okay,
they
and all
just
that
kind of left
debris.
it there for like
Yeah,
2
okay,
years.
Got it.
Mm.
Okay. This
Now
is
that got
this is
cleaned up.
after that.
Yes, it's like, I don't know,
Because this was
it's in Bellingham.
okay, this was probably 6 months ago. Yeah, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, when we had a complaint from the neighbor across the street.
Yep.
About the trash. And I happened to stop one day because there were a couple of guys there. And the couple of guys that were there were doing some work on the inside of the trailer and they dialed up the owner. Cause the owner lives on 5 Megan Court. The owner's your neighbor, Tom.
Say again, I'm sorry. I was
The
reading.
property owner is your neighbor. They live at the end of Megan Court.
Oh, okay. At
Go
the,
up the cul-de-sac on the right.
going up into the end
Yeah,
at the circle? Yeah,
not directly,
yep,
but on the right.
okay.
And if you were to drive by there, you'd see there's very similar unregistered vehicles parked there.
Oh, really?
Old Grumman aluminum vans.
Mhm.
Like I said, this gentleman must be in the business where he probably buys this stuff at auction.
Yeah. Hmm.
Which is fine for him. Just take care of the things that we need to get addressed.
Mhm.
Right.
But, at
Thank
that
you.
time, the 2 abandoned vans that were in the driveway.
Yep.
Got removed right away.
Yep.
The trash got cleaned up.
Yep.
And no one was living there.
Yep.
So I didn't even think to ask Jack if we had a Title V on the property. But then when I see a family moving in,
Mhm.
knowing how old the property is and it's gotta be a cesspool.
Mhm.
That's when I asked Jack, and that's how it kind of came onto our radar, is because of these trash and abandoned vehicle complaints.
All right.
And even when I told the property owner about the abandoned vehicles, I said, that's not my area. I'm here as a neighbor.
Mhm.
Someone called me up, made an unofficial complaint. I said that I would look into it. I said, I'm not from building or zoning or anything like that. I'm from the Board of Health. Take care of the trash cans. You know, and like I said, it got cleaned up, but
Yeah.
the letters were getting ignored. So that's when Jack went certified. So this has been going on for a while. And it kind of ebbs and flows. It's like when someone's there and because they don't subscribe, the trash builds up. Then the place is empty.
All right.
We have, constables
We have police resource officers.
that do services, I mean, for a fee.
Chief Kersey said I could use a resource officer if I wanted.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
And have a return of service on it. I can give you the verbiage for it.
Okay.
You put it in an envelope, you put the return of service on it, you give it to the officer goes, serves them. Has the Patty sign it, the officer signs that it was served and we get the return of service back. So if it does have to go to court, you can show that. And the other side of that is that when you have a police officer
Mhm.
knocking on your door and usually, in my experience anyway, it gets their attention. And
I'm
they
liking
will
that
usually
idea.
respond.
What's the fee?
I have no idea.
We'll find out.
Because usually, I mean, like a sheriff's fee is $100.
Maybe worth it instead of, cause you know, I mean, they're gonna get it by regular mail and certified mail. They're gonna be like, yeah, I know what that certified mail is. Even though, you know, if you're sending it to last known and usual, you still want proof that they have in fact received it.
Right. Well, that's why we went to certified return receipt.
Right.
So we
But
knew that it got picked up.
sometimes they don't pick them up though. You know, and the
Right.
return of service is very effective. I mean, have been successful in what the non-criminal citations at Uxbridge Court by using the return of service. Maybe we can talk to the chief and
I favor
do it
that
that way.
avenue, to be honest with you. I don't know what your thought is, but
I have no problem calling the guy on the phone and having a conversation with him and say, hey, work with us, you know? I mean, I don't know why we're not getting any kind of feedback other than we know that he picked it up. Because, I mean, we're not asking for anything unreasonable.
No, not at all. Nor is the board unapproachable.
Yeah, I mean, tell us what the situation is and how we can help.
Well, we work with, I mean, in the course of the day, I mean, how many people, you know, that we work with and have success with every single one of them.
Why don't we try that first?
Okay.
See what we get for results.
All right.
along with sending that, do we want to invite them to a meeting?
Sure.
Because we, I mean, I don't want to put too much on that one communication, but we've got more complaints about trash. And I mean, I see it. I drive by, they're not even bringing the toters in now. They're just piling it up on top of the toters.
Can you tell who the trash totals are?
No name,
No name.
no name. And which is good because that's why EL Hobby's not picking it up, along with them being on the no pickup list because they're not subscribers. But they're not even rolling them back 10 feet into the yard like they were.
Yeah.
They're just out there. I mean, they've been out there for now, let's see, 8 days, because they went out last week and they weren't picked up, and then this week, so now the lids aren't even closed. So they're not even taking the effort like they did before, and they rolled them back in 10 feet off the road.
Yeah.
And some of the trash did disappear, so somebody, when they were overflowing, somebody did remove some of the trash because the lids closed again. So somebody put the trash in their trunk or the back of their pickup truck and,
Somewhere else.
yeah.
So a phone call first, is that where you? going
Well,
with?
no, we'll send a letter with an invitation to come to our next meeting.
We're just gonna send it out the regular.
Resource officer.
We have, so we will use them.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Last one, for outstanding old business is men and well regulations updates. I did speak with Tom Ryder last week. It is on his radar. He's hoping to have something by the end of December.
I forgot we were still working on those.
Everything's all done. He's just putting on the finishing touches. To have a final draft for the board's review.
Right.
And that is all I have.
So, next meeting.
A couple of questions.
Oh, please. Oh, that silence.
I was just, anybody have any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
Nothing major. Just a couple of things that had come through on email. Did you see the email about the survey that
Wait.
the public health,
We did it.
did you do it? That's what I was wondering. Did we do it?
Yes, that's all
We did
done.
it.
How was it, I didn't actually look at it myself. What were they trying to?
Well, they just want to know, as far as, if we have need our EDS plan looked at, and with regards to the, emergency people to contact, they wanted to confirm that that list was current, and Jack also added my name to it. And also, if we want to, in this fiscal year, participate in, an actual EDS, which is at the site, to have to set up our dispensing site if we ever had an emergency. So it's a drill
Yep.
if we are going to participate in that. And actually, Jack and I were talking about it today. Going to reach out to Mark Bacchino because he's the EDS person, and then we're going to respond back to Jamie.
And we have done it before. Mark's been
Yeah, we've
involved.
done,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done the email communication where you get the email and you need to respond back when so many.
Right.
Yeah, we've done the actual site.
We've actually done a site one
Yeah,
Yeah, which was
before we set it
really
up,
pretty
and
cool.
Mark's
Oh, all right.
Mark's been involved, and we actually were at the
It's
school.
good practice. It's
Oh,
good
very good
practice.
practice. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So we're working with that.
Cool, awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, did Ann LaBonte
Did-
work with us on that?
Who was it?
When we did the Ann from the VNA, did she work with us when we did the actual drill at the school?
Did Ann work with us on that? I don't recall if Ann was involved with that, to be honest with you.
I'm foggy.
I mean, I think, wasn't it Jamie that was
Jamie Terry.
Terry.
at the time
Yeah.
that was involved, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but when I, for some reason, I thought Ann LaBonte was present when we.
She might have come. We had 2 or 3
Drill.
people in that group. They set up different stations around
Yeah.
the gym.
Yeah, we had in and out.
Yep. all the
that was pretty
signage in
cool.
place and all
Yeah,
that.
it's good practice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because don't we have like a kit?
Oh, yeah.
with-
Yeah,
Right?
upstairs.
Yep.
Big briefcase thing?
Yep. The A's to put the signs on and everything.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a while. Trying to.
Yeah.
Did we must have done that pre-COVID.
That was pre-COVID. It's been
So
a
it-
while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh, it's been a while.
That's what Jack and I will talk about today. So we're gonna get a hold of Mac and
Yeah, he's awesome.
talk to, and Pat and do it, all three of them actually. It's just good practice. Go through the EDS plan, which Jamie's gonna do, make sure that, that doesn't require any changes or, a little tweaking here or there.
Fantastic.
Yep.
But it's been years.
Mm.
I can't believe.
Well,
Time
if you think
flies.
about it, I mean, we've been in COVID for 3 years, so.
Right.
All right, anything else, Tom?
Question on, I don't know if this is more for you. I don't know if you got the email regarding the municipal expenditure reporting requirements? Would that have been from FEP Region 2? I believe is
Oh, Michael,
where that came from. I'm not sure if it was
Mike
Michael or not.
Nelson?
Back on the second, it had to do with reaching out to all the towns in the region about this municipal expenditure reporting requirement that had to be submitted. I think it had to do with funds that communities might have received from COVID. And I'm not sure if the town of Mendon ever actually received any funding through that or
I'll
not.
look back into that.
But there were some towns that, hadn't responded. I didn't know if we actually had, if we needed to.
I
it was-
believe we did because I know the school system used a bunch of money to buy iPads, if I remember correctly.
Does it say specifically which monies they're looking to report on? Is it any monies received during COVID? Because we do have ARPA funds
Mhm.
and we have spent monies from that.
Yeah, I thought at one point we had gotten 300,000 or 400,000.
It wouldn't have been APA money though. This would have been something separate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
It's-
contact David and Jody and just see, from a finance and a town admin perspective, like how they might be able to help you there.
We were using some of that money to pay the extra VNA fees. Remember, Tom?
Well, which fees?
The VNA fees? Remember we? were
Yes,
getting-
when
yeah,
their costs went
yeah,
up
I
because
remember
of
Kim
COVID.
saying that she was gonna use some of that money to cover those fees because some of those monthly bills above and beyond the contract were $4, $5, $8,000 a month during COVID. So I remember her saying that was coming out of some of that money. And for some reason, I'm thinking 300,000-400,000 on a town level.
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember what else. So I can't say it came to Board of Health. But I know we did receive some money and I forget what they were calling it. There was a name. There was a name for that money.
I'm just looking up the email now. So it came in on the second. It was from the Regional Public Health DPH. It's titled Municipal Opioid Expenditure Reporting Requirements.
Oh, opioid.
Opioids, sorry.
Right.
COVID.
That's
opioid.
different.
Different.
Yeah,
Yep.
very different.
Okay.
So
We
I-
didn't receive any money.
That does
Okay.
not sound familiar.
No, in the police station, with the police department, if there was any money dispersed, it was to the police departments for
them,
their
okay.
opioid
I
prevention.
know, I can't say the word either.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't even have
No.
to worry about it.
Yeah.
Because we had no funds. Cool. That was-
No, because I do remember that was the substance abuse was on a Board of Health budget.
Yep,
And I went to Jody, she goes, that shouldn't be on the Board of Health's budget, that should be on
That's
the police
right.
department's
Yep.
budget.
it ended up getting moved.
Yeah.
Back when you first came on.
Yeah.
I think is when we found that. Yeah, that's right. Cool. Answers that question.
Anything else, folks?
I do not.
All right,
That's it. Oh, I did have one last thing.
hit me.
And unfortunately Joyce isn't here tonight, but I was approached about presenting something to the board regarding the waiving of food permit fees for community-based nonprofit groups who do events in the town of Mendon. And what the Board of Health's view would be on that.
Should make it an agenda item for further discussion.
I figured I'd like to kind of have everybody.
Right. And this is something that's kind of come up sporadically. We don't have a universal policy for how to handle that stuff.
I don't think so. I think when it's come to us before, we've kind of handled it
Case by case.
case by case. We've never had a blanket policy from the Board of Health perspective where we say, okay, any community-based nonprofit, doing an event in the town of Mendon involving food, we will automatically.
What's your
waive.
definition? I mean, you should put it on as an agenda item though.
Yeah, because there's a lot of ins and outs.
Yeah,
You
right,
know,
because
you can have a nonprofit group that's charging versus a nonprofit group that's not charging.
You're
Correct.
gonna require them to be a 501c3, which our
Right.
definition of a nonprofit.
So
I'll put that on for the next agenda.
Yeah. we're all on board.
Anything else?
That was it.
All right. Next meeting date?
Next meeting date would be Wednesday, November 22nd, the day before Thanksgiving.
Anybody opposed? Want to skip?
I think typically kind of
Hmm,
skip that week.
yeah,
Okay,
So Skip,
So busy week.
unless something really
Yeah.
too hot to handle with potholders.
Jason, we'll let you run that one. What do you think?
so the 6th.
Yeah, I'll be around.
So
one would be December 13th.
Could you do the 6th instead? Oh, no?
No, because we're every second and fourth week of the month. The select board's the first, and third.
Oh.
do we want to try to,
As I say, unless you want to change it.
well, I was gonna say, do we want to try to do Tuesday?
21st.
December 21st?
Well, I mean, is there anything pressing?
What's your board meeting in Blackstone?
Yeah, well, I work Tuesday nights
Okay,
at
that's
7.
fine.
So, I mean, if you guys, you can still meet, but I just wouldn't be able to be here.
How about the 28th?
You can do a Wednesday. You can just go over to the police station instead of using this room.
Yeah, if it's a matter
That's
of,
true,
That's
yeah,
true, too.
yeah.
you
we
don't
could
have
do
to
this.
use this
Right.
room.
We can go to the police
Yeah,
station.
you just
on the
have to let
6th.
Ellen know when she
Yeah.
posts the agenda where it's located.
Or even the library is another venue, right,
Yeah.
Jason?
Yep, library, there's a conference room downstairs.
Yeah.
There's a couple options.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've met at the library before.
Yeah.
So
The 6th,
of December,
Don't look at me. I am at the pleasure of the board, so whatever you tell me what day it is, I'm there.
It works for me. I don't have
All
a
right.
problem with that.
12/6.
Just to be a matter
And-
about changing the venue then, right?
and what time? 6:30?
6:30?
Yeah.
So Wednesday, December 6th,
Yeah, and venue to be determined.
6:30,
Yeah, either the police station or the library.
And
police station.
hopefully we'll get on the agenda for the 15th with the Board of Selectmen. Got any pull with the Board of Selectmen, Jason?
I think Mike is on vacation at the moment, which is why there's probably a delay there.
Next man up.
Next person up.
Oh,
Next person
not
up,
be a man.
Elena's vice
Excuse
chair. You
That's
can
right.
always ping Elena.
There you go.
Next
Exactly.
person up, excuse me.
Person up.
But yeah, I mean, if you wanna remind David before their day off, just shoot him an email tonight.
Great.
I actually follow the exact same procedures you guys to get to get something on the agenda, so I have to do the same sort of waiting.
Excellent. Okay.
All right, so
Jason, we thank you for joining us this evening.
Anytime.
we need a motion.
You need a motion.
I'll make the motion. We adjourn for the evening.
I'll step down.
Second.
Yay.
Yay. All right,
You have a
Jason.
great
good
night.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Good night.
Take care. All righty.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Absolutely. I like the cover of your book there. Genius.
Genius.